you feel that? From Judy Collins. Judy Collins. I thought it was Joan Baez, but it's Judy Collins. So if you were able to hear the lyrics and the words, it begins with, I don't know clouds at all. That I come to know that the clouds that occur are but illusions that block the sky. And then it goes on to talk about life, the ups and downs, and yet still somehow, I don't know life at all. Ever feel like you don't know life at all? Ever feel like you come to a spiritual community and you think you got the tools to figure it out, and then something happens and you're just like, oh my God, I don't know life. And then it concludes with the idea of not knowing love. However, what I want to say to you is that you do not need to figure life out. You do not need to figure love out. There's nothing actually to figure out. There's just something to allow and to accept. That there's something bigger and greater than us, than our ideas, than the ideas of what life ought to be or should be or how it's going to go. And then questioning it when it doesn't go the way that we think it ought to go. Only thereby to suffer and think that life is against us. And so I'm here to say that life is not against us, that life is for us, that life knows us. Love knows us. And that when we align with it, with its wisdom, with its power, with its grandeur, that something magnificent happens. And we can begin to let go of the smaller mind questions. Will I be safe? Will I be loved? In this crazy experience called this life. And so many of you may have remembered that, I don't know, about a month ago, I went on vacation. I took the risk to actually go on vacation, to leave the life that I was living and the responsibilities and the things that I believed made it up. And went on a vacation, and as I rode to the airport, as we got on that plane, it was like the wake in the back of a boat that just disappears into the distance. And I was fully into my vacation. And I went to Belize. Tony and I went to Belize. And we did a deep dive into Belize. We spent 2 weeks. We explored all throughout the country. And we had different experiences. We had beach experience. We had mountain experiences. We got caught in, a rainstorm and was like completely soaked to the bone out in the rainforest, and we met people, and we just had this immersion into a different life and a different culture. And as the vacation was beginning to come to an end, I found myself at the beach. And this was after having been incredibly sunburned. Like, this body does not get sunburned. I don't really give much regard to it. And one day we go out on a boat to a key, and we spend the whole day on this little island about as big as this room. and I'm a fish. There's nothing I love more than to be in the water. So I'm in the water face down like this all day long. It seems that the significant others in my life have all been light complected, and I have never had much understanding of sunburn. I'm always like, what's the big deal? I now know what the big deal is. I was the whole backside just burned, and I was miserable for a couple of days and actually felt sick. Like all I could do was like sleep, and we found a place one day for us to do that. So this one day that I want to get us to is post sunburn, post whatever the bugs are there, love me. So I'm recovering from the elements that I experienced there. And being cautious, I go back out into the sun and into the world. And where we are staying, it was just beautiful. It was Jaguar Reef. And they had a pier that went out. And everywhere there are bars with swings. So people are swinging and drinking, and it's kind of cute and fun, but I wasn't into that scene. But nearer to the beach, there were 2 Adirondack chairs, and I sat in one, all by myself. Nobody was there. And I was watching the ocean. And what I noticed about the waves on that particular day was that they were super choppy. They were very choppy. The waves were small. You couldn't count them. There were so many of them. You couldn't even differentiate from them. And they just kept coming and coming and coming. This commotion, if you will, of this water with little peaks. And as I was observing it, as I was watching it, I thought, God, isn't that what life is like sometimes? All these little dramas, all these little distractions. And in some ways, one looks just like another. The story might be different, the circumstances different, but when you get a little bit away and you're just looking at it, they almost all look the same. They're these choppy little distractions that when you're in the water, when you're in it, seem disorienting and confusing. And they just keep coming and coming and coming. As I was sitting there observing it, I knew what it was like to believe I was in it, in that water, in the commotion, in the wave, in the drama, in the distraction, in the illusion that's blocking the sky. And I knew that I didn't need to be in it. If I could just remember when I'm feeling like I'm in it, to take that good deep breath and to go sit on the pier. Get a little bit of spaciousness, a little bit of distance, so that I can observe it and see it for what it is. You see, it's not really personal, though we create it and call it forth. It's really the dynamic of a mind, the individual mind, and the collective consciousness that has dreamed this dream of separation, believing it to be separate from God, and is creating stories that we believe that are little dramas. Just like when you turn on the TV, you got your dramas. And don't all the shows eventually kind of seem like they're similar? Right? Was it in that show or that show that this came about? It's not who we are. But we're so powerful we can create it. We're so powerful we can think it's our reality. But only when we take that breath and separate and observe can we see and sense that it's not who we are, it's not what we are, it's not how we serve. It's a dream that we've believed, that we've fallen asleep to who we are truly. Innocent, loving, beloved, children of life, of God, of love. So we take a breath here. The vacation continued. And eventually, as I was approaching coming home and the prospect of returning into my life, I remember saying, I had a meeting with my spiritual practitioner, my spiritual counselor. I remember saying to her this, like, be careful what you say when you re-enter something. I said, I'm going back and I want to, and I'm excited about it. And no matter what happens, I'm going to allow it and accept it. Right? And so I come back. And what felt like a tsunami hit. And the way that tsunamis are, or hurricanes, it feels like it just clears your whole house, like Rumi, the guest house. It comes upon knocking at your door, and it clears your home of all of its belongings, of all of its furnishings, of everything. Now, I'm going to pause here because I'm telling my story a little bit. But this isn't about me. I want to be very clear about that. It's about all of us. Where have you experienced this? Where have you had these experiences in life? They look like diagnoses. They look like he left me, she left me. They look like you're fired. They look like you're done. They look like life is over as you knew it. It looks like a death. It looks like a sudden shift of everything that you know. Everything that you pin your identity on, you pin your safety on, you pin your security on, you pin your source on. You all have these things in your life, either now or in your past, that you can remember that this has happened. But we don't know life, really. We don't know what it has in store, really. And so returning home to this, there is a dear person in my life, in many of your lives, I was having a conversation with. And this person said to me, how is it that you're okay? Now, I'm not going to say I'm okay all the time. I have my dark moments. I have a potty mouth, and sometimes it comes out, and it feels really good when it does. But as we smudged ourselves and do our clearing, and we release and we let go, and we're authentic and we're real with ourselves, we don't deny what we're feeling as being, oh, that's not very spiritual, or that's not very ministerial. No, we let that happen. And as we do, it becomes our teacher. And it reveals to us where we're imagining the absence of God, where we're imagining the absence of the power and the presence of the all that is. And so back to this person who asks me that question in that moment, recognizing I've had dark moments, but in that moment, in the prevailing experiences, how is it that I'm okay? How is it that you're okay in your experiences of life? Is because there is a power, there is a presence, there is a love, energy, and intelligence that is for you and never against you. And it's omni-active in our lives and in everything that happens. Everything. That God, that love is always for us. And so I can answer the question by saying, you know what? It's done. I've already committed my life to this. Been doing it a long time. Back in our days at Agape. And before that, you know, I'm counting like 30 years of like saying, I'm walking in this direction, and I'm going to walk as if I believe what they're telling me, that God is all that there is. I'm going to walk in the direction that I'm creating my experience. I'm going to walk in the direction that love does lead the way, even when it feels like the tsunamis of life are unloving. I made a commitment And as each year passed and each little tsunami and little choppy wave came to teach me and remind me of that commitment, I can say today that this stuff works. I can say today that there's really no other option for me, that I must continue in this direction, no matter what. I must stop looking at the choppiness of the distractions and look within and allow Spirit to show me how life is for me, how God is for me, and how nothing and no one could ever be really against me, right? Despite appearances. So that's the commitment, and that's how I can be okay. And that's how you can be okay too. Not only okay, but how you can be happy, joyous, and free, no matter what, authentically. Not bypassing, authentically. So take a breath with me here. I had another experience on another vacation where I observed another body of water. I'm in Jamaica. And in Jamaica, I'm in this space, in this place, total retreat. And the way that the ocean meets the shoreline, it's cliffs, sheer cliffs. And I'm staying in a place where there are huts and treehouse-like dwellings that totally unplugged. And across the street, because I'm so well cared for, and because of the Rastafarian culture, there's a vegetarian lean-to where they're cooking vegetarian food. And I can go across the street every day and I can stay. I don't need to go out anywhere. I can stay right where I'm at and retreat. And the only way that you can get into the water is to jump off the cliff. And that there's so much freedom there that some people are naked, swimming in the water, meditating, letting the sun hit their skin. And they have these ladders that come up out of the water to help you come out onto the cliff, right? And so that's how you get in and out of the water. Well, one day they pull all those ladders up. They pull them all up. A storm's coming in. And as that storm is coming in, there's a fury with the water. And I see off in the distance, I see every once in a while this beautiful expression and extension of the ocean into the sky. And I'm drawn to it. I gotta go find that. And so I walk down to where it is. And I sit in meditation as I watch this drama unfold. And where it is there's a cove. And the cove is here, and how the rhythm of life, the rhythm of this water comes into the cove. And it starts on the far side, and it goes out, and it comes in again, and it builds, and then it empties. But it's gathering its energy, it's gathering its force. And every time it comes in and moves a little closer to where I am in the end of the cove, there's more water. And the water just accumulates until it gets close to where I'm at. And right before the next expression, that cove, it completely emptied, completely emptied. And when it came back with such power and such energy that it crashed into the cove and up into the sky, that made that expression that was so beautiful, that drew me there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been thinking about that for years. I think about that now, juxtaposing, comparing the beliefs choppy, choppy waves, to the grandeur of that Jamaican wave and that expression. And what was different was that the life, the energy, the heart was giving way to the power of the all that is and submitting and giving all of itself to the depth of the ocean, to the source of its being, such that it could have full sway with it, such that life knows what to do with us, such that it knows what to do with us in a way that we must submit and surrender to it. And with each little expression of releasing, we give more and more of ourselves to it. In the choppy choppy, we're trying to use it, make it do what we think it needs to do. We're trying to believe that we know what life is. This other Jamaican experience, we're saying, nah, I don't know what life is. I don't know what love is. But I trust it. I believe in it. I'm going to give myself to it. I'm going to dedicate myself to it. And as we do, and we allow the heart to carry us to the depth, such that we're at the heart and mind, face to face. We no longer see through a glass darkly, but we see face to face the Christ, the power within us, where we know that we know that we know that we are one with God, and we allow it to move through us. And I take a breath here, and I just say, thank you, Mother, Father, God, Infinite Spirit, for that's what we are here to do. That's what we are here to be. And that no matter what the trials and the tribulations in our lives are, there's always a presence that is loving us, guiding us, showing us the way, and we just give to it. Use me. Use me. Choose me. Pick me. Every single person in this room, every single person within earshot, including myself. We have this opportunity to do this, to be this, to allow this, even now, especially now, and to trust and know that I may not, of my own self, I know nothing. But in that curiosity and that humility of I don't know, the knower comes forth, revealing itself through you. You are blessed. You are a blessing. You are beloved. No one is ever forsaken. Can't touch who you are. Can't touch who I am. Truth knows. The heart knows. Let us lean into that